Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to
Yo,
QFM. Welcome back. You got your man Giffy. And
got Kenny J. What's good? What's good?
what's up, guys? It's been a long time.
Where you been, man?
Where have we been?
Where have we been? That is a great question.
That's a really big
Cut my
thing.
hair. You already know.
I know, like, yo, that's crazy, man. Got the
Had to be done. Had to be done.
so. I guess like the biggest question is, just going through college and stuff. We was doing that all along through college, so we kind of really had to move back a little bit and just try to really just focus on our lives, because getting out of school, it was a really big transition.
hmm
So I guess I'll go with you, KJ. Like, how was that transition for you?
Honestly, that transition was kind of a lot to figure out.
Yeah.
It's always great that you graduate school and, you're kind of entering the real world and, putting the ball in your court. But I think, like, when you're going through that transition period, it's kind of hard to navigate
hmm
because, yeah, you might have some guidance on the way, but it's honestly on you at that point.
I definitely do agree. When I walked through the stage, it was a really big thing for me. And what you got to realize is that a lot of different people kind of have this stuck kind of mentality when you get out of college, when you're leaving the dorm, or not even the dorm, but when you're leaving that scene to really forget all the routine that you was doing for 14 or even 4 years. So it was tough. It was really tough. And then being able to like recognize that you're still figuring it out. You're thinking that once you get your degree, you're thinking that I figured everything out, but you really haven't. So you're just really in a stuck kind of category and kind of this limbo stage to where you're really still trying to figure out, is this the job for me, or did I take the right degree? Like, these just things that you constantly think about
Yeah,
even to this
yeah.
day after you're already a little bit established. So like, I guess, like, did you have that same feeling, and how did you cope with it? Because you graduated before me.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I like graduated a little bit early because I was taking summer classes on top of my like current credits that I
hmm
already earned. So I think my goal and mentality was after talking to my advisor, the she pretty much like stated the fact that like, yo, if you keep, you know, continuing on this process, then you're going to graduate early. When
Yeah.
I pitched that to my parents, of course they're on board with it because, that's one semester bill away from like,
hmm
graduating. So, of course I wanted to do that, and then on top of that, I think I wanted to just get out and be in the real world and just start, you know, performing to my best ability.
Yeah.
So, in doing so, when I wanted to like move around and like do all these different things, I just knew that I can't because there was like a thing that I had to do to, become successful.
Yeah. I think whenever I graduated, it was a pretty big position. And so one of those big things was that a lot of people is not going to, tell you how to figure it out. That was the biggest thing. And so when you're trying to figure it out, you have to figure that out on your own, right? You could take the advice from other people, but it's really your journey regardless on who you came with, on who you left behind. I think the biggest transition was not only because of just school overall, but it was because of who you surrounded with. And what I realized is half of the reasons why we hang around with these certain people was out of convenience. And so that friendship is kind of tested when you do leave college. You start to really figure that out and figure out. I'm not saying that they don't talk, if they don't talk to you, they're your real friends, but you just start to see your common interests. You just start to see your goals, right? Because college, you're in there for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But when you leave, the biggest stuck that you have, or when you're in this stuck kind of limbo type perspective, you really got to figure out, okay, like, is my friends, are they long term, or were they just for the college experience?
Mm. And how can you tell that?
I think really, what I did was, and that's how I met you, that's how I met some of my friends, is really like group organizations, things like that, or even in classes. And that's how you talk to people out of convenience. But I think when you start to question their goals and just the way that they behave and move, I think that that's when you start to see on which people that you want to be close to. And so when I got out of it, I was confused in that category. What type of friends do I need? Right? What type of friends do I find valuable? And so when you just start to hang around with people and things like that, I think that's really important as well. How about you? Like, I guess, and I almost forgot how I cope with it was to just plan and always plan. I would usually go to a lot of, I would do a lot of researching on things that I would want because, like I said, there's no, you can't say, oh, like I'm in school. You can't say that. You can't really say that. So, like, you can't make that excuse anymore. There's no excuses for you to move on in a way.
I think that like for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing of finding your um, your village. You want to find people that are like-minded like with you, but I also ended up watching this video yesterday, and it was talking about how you got to have people in your circle that kind of challenge your way of thinking.
Yeah.
Like they might have these different ideas and narratives that come to it, and it's not like, oh, I'm trying to convince you to do it, but I want you to think of it in a certain way
Mm-hmm.
because they might agree with you, but you might be seeing it from a different way that that other person is. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and yeah, and that could be really tough for some people, right? Because again, you don't want to, you want to find people to where they're going to make you better. And I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much what it is. And so, like I say, there you're gonna be you're in this journey on your own. So the best way on how I cope with it is try to get as much knowledge as I can about myself, about other people, ways that I can really improve. So because it's all up to you, right? The time is endless. Even though we work, there's still things you could do outside of work. There's still things that you would really have to do. And so, and try to get that experience as much as you can. And if not, then you're going to get left behind, right? You're going to be somewhere in your 30s, 40s, and probably still be in school because I've seen that before, right? I've seen that before to where I was glad that that transition happened because a lot of people don't get that. They're so stuck on the mindset of school, and it's hard to get out of it. It's really hard to get out of
Stuck
it.
in the mindset of school. I feel that. I feel that.
I mean, I don't know. Has that ever happened to you?
Not really, but like I think I kind of see where you're coming from on that because for me, you know, people think that your this situation is gonna be there forever, but
Yeah,
then it's not. So there's gonna be times where you gotta like move on. So for example, we're
exactly,
not the same people that we were in high school.
exactly.
Probably not even the same in college.
Yeah,
You know, I know we're still young and it's been like a just a couple months, but I just think that you can still grow in that time and still stay true to who you are.
exactly. And that's the thing. And this is when I was like, yeah, I don't know. I need to go. Right. I just need to go. And when I used to go to a lot of different frat parties and things like that. All these people, there's always going to be another freshman. There's always going to be another sophomore. So you have that generation to where it's like, okay, I was once in that position. Now it's time for you to kind of get out, right? It's time for you
Yeah.
to grow up. And
Like, I
so,
was just you, young bull.
yeah, so you're not the young bull no more. You're not the young man no more. So now I was like, I'm not even going to go to those atmospheres anymore because, like I say, the reason why people are there is out of convenience. So go to places to where, there is more accustomed for you. And so
Okay.
instead of doing that, I would rather go to bars and stuff like that have people more of your age, right? Bars or even just places to where they're going to have those adults that are there. Um, and that was and that was it. That was a big transition, really. It's just again because I was in my bed. I was like, dang, man, I don't got my own apartment no more. I don't even,
No.
I don't
Oh
even,
my god.
I can't even invite nobody no more. I'm like, dang. Can't be like,
It
let's go.
sucks. It sucks.
But it's good to have those memories, though. I
Yeah.
always looked at them as good
I still
things.
miss my apartment to this day.
Hey, me too. Me too. Especially, at the UV, probably every weekend we would just hang out with each other.
Yeah. Those are good times.
Yeah. And so now with that transition and just where we have been at, now I just want to talk about like our podcast like itself and the things that we want to do. And so we really want to expand. We want to expand by talking to a lot of different people. And again, we now have a lot more opportunities to expand because after that transition, and especially, I guess like buying more equipment and things like that. So I guess like, what do you think the goal should be?
I think for us is just definitely improving the podcast by like networking and getting in contacts with people to like come on to the show, get their takes. Even like doing it this way, it's we increase the production.
Yeah,
And versus when we was doing it in the UV lab.
exactly. Exactly.
Yes, they definitely gave us the equipment and like the tools that we need to make it come to life, but you can still obtain that with other equipment that you can get from Amazon,
Yeah.
Walmart, all these other different stores that you can find the good quality in them and still like retain it.
So, and I think me and KJ are a really good duo when it comes to these type of things. And so KJ is really great on audio, things like that. I'm really great at networking. So I've been interviewing, especially with like connecting people on LinkedIn, and that's definitely something good. Like even after and not going back to it for college, build a LinkedIn profile because that's very important to meet future employers and future businesses. That way they have a record of you and they know what you look like. Because there's been plenty of times, I don't know about you, but they be researching. A lot of these people be researching. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but that's always been me, really.
What I did notice is that like a lot of people want to do things in regards to like collaborations, and then on top of that, they really want to know your extracurricular activities.
Exactly.
Like one of our people on my team, they end up doing freelance photography. So like on the side, they take pictures for someone who's graduating or getting married or maybe doing some like family photos.
Exactly.
Like, he has that on the side as well, and he's earning a little extra cash from that. From us, like we have our own businesses and like our own jobs. So the podcast is pretty much something that we do not just for fun, but we also want to spread awareness and create that connection for other people as well.
Exactly. So, and plus we have a Cash App. So if you ever want to donate, you see what I'm saying? If you ever want to donate, support the channel, that would be
When we start
lovely.
going live, we might have to do the super chats.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. $5 picture. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, but I feel like so that's also the improvement, right? Is just to network as many perspectives as we can. And so, and that just always something that I've always been in tune to as well. It's just always finding that way we're able to, I guess, like get people a different perspective. And that's what we're here for, right? That's really what we're here for. And we're back. And so a lot more episodes are coming up as well. You're going to hear a lot of different people. And so, yeah, that's what we're here, right? That's why we're creating this podcast. That's why we're continuing it, is due to promoting that, right? And so what made you, I guess we could definitely talk about, I guess, a little bit of a reminder on why we started it. So I guess for you, like what made you join? What made you feel like that was a good calling for you?
Quick little backstory. Me and Gifted, we met at this business meeting that our Bryan School of Business was actually hosting.
Yeah.
And both of us didn't actually want to go. We didn't feel like going. I just got back from work. I was on the way back, and I just thought, well, I already RSVP, so I might as well just join.
Exactly. I already made
Yeah,
that appointment,
exactly.
so we might as well
Yeah.
just go.
And like a little thing about me is like I'm a big predicator on, commitment and, keeping your word and stuff.
Exactly.
So regardless of how I felt, I still, went down there. And I ended up meeting like a lot of cool people there. I networked. I met some people from like fraternity wise, some from like the Bryan School of Business, and then I met you. I met Xavier, and I think like for me, I was kind of like in that point in time where I still want to create something for myself, or at least attribute to something. I mean, not tribute, contribute to
Yeah, yeah.
something that could be bigger than me. You know.
Absolutely.
So I think when you came up with that idea of the podcast, it kind of like clicked to me. And even you just like pitching the idea to me, I think I really like it. I just think that we can, create something more out of it.
Absolutely.
Because were you just doing audios at that time?
I was so like okay, so like just me being, of course, the founder, right, of it. KJ co-founder. I was just joking. So no, not joking, really. Co-founder, but really, what happened was really, I guess like it's always those, the boys, right? They talk about something deep, and they're
Yeah.
like, let's make a podcast, and never do it. They would never do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this was started back in, I would say, November 11th, 2019. And so I was going through, I guess this is always someone's story, but I was going through a breakup, and there was this guy. He used to be a member. We was both going through the same thing. And whenever we would hang out, we would always just have these deep conversations. They weren't really deep, but they were deep. And he was like, yeah, man, let's start a podcast. So I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't really know, but and so
Yeah, I guess,
the next day when he said it, he really kept on being persistent on it. So I was like, okay. So I looked up different ways. So like I said, this is another thing. If you ever want to do a podcast and for you to have multiple channels for you to spread, I recommend using Anchor. It's mainly for Spotify users, but it does connect to Apple Music. Just a lot. It has a lot of different channels for you to connect to. And I did my research. We made an account and we did audios before. And then something happened and I was like, you know what? I got it. He wasn't really being persistent as I was. Missing deadlines, missing time, just not doing the things that he was supposed to do. And so I kind of took a break from it. And then when I transferred to UCG, because I was in Wake Tech at the time, I did it with a couple different people. And it was just a lot because dealing with a podcast, there's just people, you got to have the right team, right?
Yeah.
Because if you got too many bosses, and I've seen this a lot in podcasts to where people come and go and leave because they either are not committed enough or you got so many people who's trying to be leaders instead of, I'm not saying followers as in like follow somebody.
They just got to play their role.
Yeah. Yes. And so when you got people to where they're not doing that, they're suggesting ideas, because I had other people into it as well, and they were not doing that. They were not trying to, we had different visions for it. So again, I stopped talking to them in that aspect of promoting the podcast. Then I was in the communications class, and I guess that's when I started promoting. So that's when that network niche started to come to me, and I started to say, hey, I got a podcast, do. And I was very outspoken in that category, but I had the wrong people, right? So even if you got so many different people that want to do it, they got to follow their role in their niche.
Exactly.
So I got rid of them. And then I was like, I don't know. And then that meeting came up. And then that's when I met KJ and Xavier. So yeah, Xavier's not here, but he's definitely part of it still.
Definitely. Yeah.
But that's how we all met. And every one of us followed a niche of really doing that. So for me, I always I could go somewhere and someone knows me from somewhere. Like, it's just weird. So I was able to, I know how to network with people. And Cage is the type to where he knows how to do a lot of the background things and make sure that the audio and the editing is correct. And Xavier, he's kind of like the model of QFM. You know, he's paused, but he's a good looking guy. So he really promotes it really well. So I think he's one of those people. So again, everybody has their niche and role.
Yeah.
So that's how it was created now. And the reason why of doing it is I wanted to give somebody a platform to create that different perspective. And that's very important to me. And it could be from any type of different perspective, but to be able to do that is very important. Very important.
It's hard. I like that.
And so a lot of people, people don't get to hear these perspectives. So especially with, the Islamic faith, we had a lot of those, especially with something going on with Pakistan. That was very important.
Yeah.
And when people be like, hey, I didn't know that you knew that. Wow. I didn't know that. So I like when people are able to look into something and be like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Sometimes we forget that a lot of things are going on in this world right now.
Exactly.
And, you can always make your little contributions to
Mm-hmm.
it, like, reposting something or just being aware, and like even just having this podcast in general and just talking about it. I just think that, if you have your situation that you need to handle it.
Exactly.
If you see another struggle that's happening and you thinking that you can't do anything about it, try looking something up, try talking to people, get different perspectives and understand there's another life that's outside of this world. And you have to think about who and what is going to be in that same situation.
Exactly. And so, like I said, with a podcast, everybody was like when we have our jobs, right? We're both salespeople in different areas. Would you say so?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, we deal with a lot of different people. So I'm, just telling my job, I'm a leasing consultant. So I deal with a lot of different prospects. I deal with a lot of different residents that are in that apartment complex. And one of the things that I realize is everybody got a story. Like, don't you ever drive somewhere and you see somebody, they have their own life. Yeah. They literally have their own life that no one probably knows about.
Highway, you have all these different cars. Somebody got that brand new 2024 Honda Civic, or somebody got that 2006 Hoopty that they've been driving since high school.
Exactly.
But I think regardless, everybody, just to your point, everybody has their own situation of what they got going on. But where were you trying to go with about that?
So what I was saying is that's why I created is for someone to give a platform to display their life, right? To display their views and opinions, right? And to just realize that we're so different and complicated in a lot of different ways. And so when we're doing all these things, we get so stuck in our heads sometimes to where when we hear a different perspective. What was you going to say?
No, I was just saying sidetrack.
Yeah. I was like sidetrack. What? You just interrupted me now.
You gotta think about it, man.
Yeah. So, guys, that's what we doing. Thank you so much for listening for QFM Podcast. Please follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you so much, and see you guys later.
We miss y'all. We out here.